Hi. It's just a little after 10 o'clock at night, and we just had a bomb go off, or what I guess is believed to be a bomb. Few people cut. I don't know how severe. I don't know anything else. Well, I'm back. This is the morning. Turn this thing off here. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, and unfortunately I was right. We did have a bomb go off last night. Three of the roommates were all sitting there in these chairs, and you can see that the sliding glass doors just came right through, and everybody got up and walked out. There was no problem, just nothing but superficial cuts, no stitches or anything. So we're all really very fortunate. This is the boss's room here. Just all kinds of glass everywhere, all throughout the towers. And this is my room, and my shutters were shut, and the curtain came down, the glass came out, and I was laying in bed sleeping when it went off, and realized what had happened, and very carefully got out of bed and got some shoes on and got out of the building. That's the way the shutters were after the explosion, one open, one closed. It seemed like a dream, but anything but. It really hit us hard, everybody. Trying to piece together this is reality and not some movie you're watching. But here's Tom's room here. There are, well, you guys are watching CNN, so you probably know more than we do. They're saying 11, but I'm pretty sure there's more than 11. We seen the bags lined up on the street last night, and there was more than 11. So we'll have to see exactly what the count is, unfortunately. Like I said, just a lot of people got a lot of cuts. Some really nasty, and others, you know, again, just superficial, just a band-aid, and they're good to go. I got 2 small cuts on my hand, and that's it. Like I said, not even a band-aid. So, but anyway, this is where we were all staying. 4 out of 5 of us were here in the building, in the suite itself, and the boss, he was at work. But we all made out okay. I'm going to try and get up on the roof here and see if I can point in the direction of the blast last night. Here's our kitchen. We got dust balls all over the place there. Dryer kind of backfired on us, I guess. So let me walk out here. The blast was just that building in between the right one and the left one. It's that one in between. That's the one that took the brunt of the blast, and the front is shaved off like the Oklahoma bombing. Just nothing but open rooms. That's all you see. I'll try later and get around there. I don't know how close they're going to let us with cameras, but we'll see. You can see the screens there laying down and everything, so I'm getting a flash knee. That's probably not a good sign. But anyway, there's the screens, and you can tell that some of the air conditioners got pushed in. Quite a blast. Really wakes you up. But anyway, that's about it. Anyway, the building again is just on the other side of this one right here in front of you. And I don't know how the door entrance here. door got blown in. I don't know if you can see that or not. There's the first sergeant's office. That's the one that bought it.
Not that much of a right-handed player.
That building's about, what, 270 yards? And there's our building there. It's about 300 yards, I guess. Took out a lot of windows. A lot of windows. All of them are out. And this is Finance and Persco. Yeah. Piece of it, about 250 yards away. Man. Floor 1, 2, 3. And let's see. 1, 2, 3. Well, good afternoon. It's the 26th, as you can tell, about 10 after 4 in the afternoon, and I'm looking across what used to be our building. I'm standing now on the one across the street from it, obviously. This will be home until we get out of here, looking at about 15, 16 days, and I don't know if I can do you any good here, but anyway, that's part of the mess over there. They're cleaning up and all of that. Quite a sight last night. It was something that I'll never be forgotten, at least in my mind, I guess. A lot of the cars out there have blown windshields and lights. Back windows on your Blazers and Suburbans and stuff. The back windows are blown out. From the story that we've gathered, and it's pretty much factual, he apparently tried to come through the checkpoint, the first one up there, and they told him, here, let's see, cleaning the streets. There's a lot of glass all over. Anyway, they wouldn't let him through, and it was suspicious, so he was talking to the people on the roofs, and they were watching him. Anyway, the tanker turned around, and I don't know which way he came down, but he was staying within the vicinity, and I guess one of the watchmen on the roofs were here somewhere, seen him, and he parked his truck where the barricade is the closest to the building. It's about a 30-yard distance, which isn't that much. And he parked the truck and he took off running, and the cop seen this, and the first thing he did, he called it in, and then he started in, and he was yelling to evacuate the building, and he had, I guess, about 3 or 4 minutes, and then detonation took place. It was quite an experience. I was in bed at the time, face down, covered up with my covers, My window, curtain rod and all that stuff came right in, you know, right in on top of me, and thought it was a dream at first. It was just, like, it wasn't real. This can't be. And got myself orientated real quick, grabbed some shoes, and then it really got chaotic. A lot of people running, screaming, a lot of glass, and then the casualties started showing up. Hundreds upon thousands of lacerations, some not even requiring a band-aid, and others to where, you know, it was down to the bone. It was just horrifying. It was really something else. Hundreds of people. It was something. But anyway, I'd like to get over there. I did a little bit earlier today. I don't know how that turned out. I haven't played any of this tape back, but just thought I'd turn it on in the middle of the day. I know you can't see a lot, but anyway, I'm okay, alive and well. Little boo-boo on my hand, and that's about all I suffered. Thank God, literally. So it's not such a pretty sight anymore. It certainly changes the whole attitude and the whole atmosphere about the TDY. You know, everybody was having a pretty good time and just enjoying themselves. And now it's become reality. It's become very serious. At this time, we've lost it's either 18 or 19 people, and these people were going to leave tomorrow. Their tour was up. Their 90 days were over. They had already out-processed and they were going home. And so far it's 19, and we're still missing 22. And unfortunately, we still believe that they're in the rubble. They're still recovering bodies at this time. And like I said, it's a little after 4 on the 26th, and this happened about 9:50 last night. Terrible sight. But after we helped, me and 3 other gentlemen, we were running litters last night for about 3 hours, and then we were exhausted, and got some water and a little break, and then we went over to the bomb site itself, and we ended up carrying out a body bag and stuff, and it's just it's not fun then. It's you know, you realize what's going on, and it just scares you. But anyway, I got some phone calls back to the States as quick as I could, tell everybody I'm all right, and counting the days now, that's for sure. So anyway, hopefully we'll have a nice quiet night tonight. I've got to work. Haven't had much sleep here lately. Hope to catch up on some maybe tonight once things settle down at work. But it's a whole different atmosphere now, and it's all very different. But it took some of the facing off of some of these buildings over here, and windows and everything. I mean, it was very indiscriminate. It just whatever, wherever. Windows blown out in houses. There was a mosque right there, and I don't know, you know, the injuries off base. I don't know who or what or how many, but our building is about 300 yards. The best we got it, it's about 300 yards away, and this building here even had windows blown out. Not as many, and even 2 buildings behind me had windows blown out. The blast was of extreme force. You know, my ears popped when it went off. That and the noise itself woke me up. And again, just unbelievable. Trying to comprehend what just happened. Waking up out of a dead sleep, and the lights are out, and people are screaming, and glass and everything. It's pretty strange. But nonetheless, things like that happen. You just never know. And but we all pulled together. It was really a terrific effort. Everybody was just helping above and beyond, carrying litters, and then getting first aid equipment, first aid supplies. It was really an awesome sight. We pulled together tremendously. A lot of good effort on everybody's part. And Apparently it was a semi-trailer, and it was probably about, you can see the barrier wall here, and actually it was even closer, probably more toward the end of the sidewalk, just at the end of the sidewalk, into the sand to the building. That's how close the truck was. Of course, it was over there in the opposite corner, and it just defaced the building and looked like the Oklahoma pictures. Just awful, just absolutely awful. And like I said, another sad point to it, these guys were going home in 2 days. I mean, they were gone. They'd already out processed and just waiting for the airplane. It comes in tonight. They get on it and go home tomorrow. Unfortunately, at least 18 or 19 won't be, and there's still 22 missing. So really puts a sad end to the story. But they've increased security above and beyond belief. I mean, there's not a lot that could be done. I mean, the cop up there turned him around like he was supposed to. They watched the vehicle, and he parked it, and the cop seen him running, and he radioed it in, and he was trying to evacuate the building. There just wasn't time. 4 minutes, and that was it. The blast happened, and it just ripped apart the building. And I guess the two surrounding, for sure, and if not the one like catty corner of it, are non-livable. Busted pipes, electric and all that. Ours, we don't have any electric. Our water's good, but we don't have any electric, and of course we don't have any windows. And the ones that we do have are few and far between, but we managed. Anyway, we're all over here. We've got water, we've got electric. Well, actually, we don't have water. They're working on the water now. Matter of fact, I'll show you what happened during the blast. You can see all the wet areas up here. They got a huge tank, and that's where they store the water. I don't know how this is going to turn out. Anyway, you can hear it leaking. Let's see if I can zoom in here. Anyway, the blast, there you go. It's ruptured the connection to the tank. You got two big tanks there, and that's the water for the building. And we're running out of water quick. So the pump's constantly on, trying to keep the tank filled, but it's draining out faster than it can fill up. So anyway, I guess that's it. Kind of a twist of the story here from last night on the other building over there, kind of showing you how pretty things were. I guess it can get ugly too. But I guess that's it. So y'all take care, and we're looking at about 16 days, something like that. Maybe not quite that many, and I'll be home. So I'll see you then. I might pull this thing out one more time. I got to get it back to his rightful owner here. He keeps asking me about it, and he's been nice about it. He really doesn't care. He just wants to make sure it's not missing or stolen or anything like that. So maybe before I leave, I can get over there and get some better pictures. Right now, they're pulling everybody's camera if you go over there with one, and I certainly don't need to get this one pulled because it's not mine to get pulled. So anyway. Let's see. There's our living room. 1, 2. I believe it's, oops. Down 2. 1, 2. Right in the middle. Yeah, take care, man. You can see the windshields on the vehicles shattered. There we go. And this is across the parking lot. And like I said, that's our building there. We've got it figured at about 300 yards from the blast site. So, and that building there was directly behind the one that blasted. This is the building directly behind the one that blew up. And the people were saying that the furniture just like transported through the walls, went right through the walls and out the other side. And we seen couches and stuff hanging off the balconies, so I guess that's pretty factual. It's amazing what that blast did. All the windows on the opposite side of the building behind it are blown out. It's my mistake. The building that I just filmed was that one, and that's catty corner of the blast. This one is directly behind the blast. And again, all the windows still are blown out. And turning even further back, the second building behind the blast building, you can see the fractures. And again, all the glass is blown out. Big mess. See the air conditioners are pushed in, or just blown out, one of the two. And this is again, this is the second building behind the blast building. This is 2 buildings behind the blast building, directly behind the blast building. And this is the side of it. That there where I shot earlier with the air conditioners, that was in line with the back of the building, so this is the side of the building. And that's the third building behind the blast building. And again, you still got air conditioners pushed in, a lot of glass, again, a lot of windows blown out. Here's your vehicles here. This guy ain't got no windshield. One behind him, busted. Blast just was horrific. And this guy don't have no windshield. Guy behind him, shattered. Go, man. That's a step van, Blazer, Humvee.
People out here. Can we let some of the police units go? Thank you, Anthony. Roger that.
Here's the hole. There's your step van. sifting sand. There's the pile we sifted. We sifted that one over there. Still got those two to do yet. And there's a crater in front of it.
Saturday on Today, an update on the terrorist bombing in Saudi Arabia.
Tonight's top story.
I'm Leslie Traba. The family of one of Little Rock's wounded airmen talks about tense moments after the explosion. That's just ahead.
Day of homecoming for some of the injured in Tuesday's terroristic bombing in Saudi Arabia. Family and friends were overcome with emotion as 150 survivors of the blast returned home to Eglin Air Force Base today. The 58th Fighter Squadron was only 2 days away from returning home anyway when the bomb went off. 2 memorial services for those who did not survive are planned for this Sunday in Florida. Meanwhile, the list of injured from Little Rock Air Force Base is out. On that list, Staff Sergeant Kelly Boyette, Senior Airman Carl Hayden, Staff Sergeant Edward Puskar, Master Sergeant Jim Sylvie, and Tech Sergeant Morgan Spruill. The explosion injured Spruill's leg. He's been taken to Germany for treatment and then will head back to the U.S. The other 4 remain in Saudi Arabia. The list originally included 10 airmen, but the 5 we just named were the only ones with serious enough injuries to be admitted to the hospital for treatment.
Master Sergeant Jim Sylvie suffered cuts on his head and feet that required stitches. Sylvie's wife and family say the hours they waited for word on his condition were some of the longest of their lives. Leslie Traba spoke with Sylvie's mother. She joins us from Little Rock Air Force Base. Leslie?
Well, Denise, Gilda Sylvie says even 30 years of experience as a military wife didn't make the wait any easier.
When Gilda Sylvie saw the first video of the Saudi explosion, she saw her worst fears realized. She could do nothing but wait for word about whether her son was alive or dead.
When will we know something? When will we hear? It's always, you know, you're just left out in limbo somewhere, just hoping and praying somebody is going to contact you.
Finally, the call came that Master Sergeant Jim Sylvie had suffered only minor cuts. Gilda couldn't believe her son walked away relatively untouched.
I feel there must have been guardian angels watching over the ones that survived. I cry about it still.
And Gilda says she joins the military in mourning the lives lost.
What's the reasoning to all of this? And what can they gain from taking the lives of these wonderful American men?
Now, Sylvie will remain in a Saudi Arabian hospital until his wounds heal. Then he'll return to the States with the rest of the 61st Airlift Squadron at the end of July. Denise?
Leslie, thank you.
I'm Leslie Traba. The family of one of Little Rock's wounded airmen described the hours after a Saudi Arabian explosion as the toughest of her life. Gilda Sylvie waited anxiously for news that her son Jim was slightly wounded. He's being treated in a Saudi Arabian hospital.
And of sorrow at Eglin Air Force Base today. About 150 survivors of Tuesday's bombing in Saudi Arabia returned home to Florida. The 58th Fighter Squadron was greeted by a hero's welcome, as many of those killed in that blast were their fellow airmen. 43 others who survived the blast are in Germany tonight. They're in the trauma ward for burns and severe cuts. Michael J. was looking for his gym shoes just before the blast.
I realized there was a locker laying on top of me, and I knew something was wrong.
I was just crawling around the ground, thinking, I wasn't know I was wrong. I think I was just going crazy. I was going, what knew what was going on here, what's going on here.
I wish something could have been done because we lost some good people there, and it was wrong, and it was a cowardly thing to do.
Most of those now in Germany will be able to come home tomorrow. Others still in Tehran are too injured to be moved.
Little Rock released the list of its wounded today. They are Staff Sergeant Kelly Boyette, Senior Airman Carl Hayden, Staff Sergeant Edward Puskar, Master Sergeant Jim Sylvie, and Tech Sergeant Morgan Spruill. The explosion injured Spruill's leg. He went to Germany for treatment before he comes back home to the States. The other 4 remain in Saudi Arabia. The list originally included 10 airmen. The 5 we just named were the only ones with serious enough injuries to be admitted into the hospital for treatment. Families of those injured say the wait for any word was agonizing. Leslie Traba talked to the mother of one of Little Rock's wounded about her ordeal.
When Gilda Sylvie saw the video of the damage from the Saudi Arabian explosion, she froze.
And you talk about fear. And And you know, your heart just breaks because you don't know what's going on.
It wasn't until hours later that Gilda found out her son Jim was still alive, with cuts on his head and feet.
I feel there must have been guardian angels watching over the ones that survived. I cry about it still.
And finally, Gilda's greatest reward, a call from Jim himself.
You just say, oh, thank God, you hear his voice. That in itself is enough.
Sylvie will stay in a Saudi Arabian hospital until his wounds heal. Then he'll return with the rest of the 61st Airlift Squadron at the end of July. Leslie Traba, News 4.
Investigators in Saudi Arabia hope a burned crankshaft from the truck bomb will give them more leads to the suspect. They hope to find a serial number or some other markings that would indicate who may have owned the vehicle.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this very special award ceremony for several members of the 314th Wing who will receive Purple Hearts for wounds received in action during a terrorist bombing attack in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia. Lieutenant General Philip J. Ford, Commander 8th Air Force, will make today's presentations. During the American Revolutionary War, General George Washington, on August 7, 1782, issued an order establishing this honorary badge of distinction known as the Purple Heart. The award of that decoration ceased with the closing of the Revolutionary War, but was revived on February 22, 1932, out of respect to the memory and military achievements of General George Washington. This decoration, the oldest United States military decoration in current use, is rich with tradition for Americans who are wounded or killed in action while serving their country. General Washington, whose profile adorns the medal, symbolizes our efforts in behalf of freedom-loving people throughout the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the Purple Hearts. Attention to order. United States of America, to all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America, authorized by order of General George Washington, August 7, 1782, has awarded the Purple Heart to the following personnel for wounds received in action June 25, 1996. Given under my hand the 7th day of August, 1996. Signed, Ronald G. Fogelman, General Chief of Staff. First recipient, Master Sergeant James M. Sylvie, 61st Airlift Squadron. Master Sergeant Carl Freeney, 314th Civil Engineering Squadron. Master Sergeant Leighton Reed, 314th Civil Engineering Squadron. Master Sergeant Charles Campbell, 61st Airlift Squadron. Technical Sergeant Morgan Spruill, 314th Civil Engineering Squadron. Staff Sergeant Edward S. Puskar, 61st Airlift Squadron. Staff Sergeant Kelly W. Boyette, 61st Airlift Squadron. Senior Airman Carl C. 314th Maintenance Squadron. Senior Airman Tracy L. Peckham, 314th Supply Squadron. Airman First Class Michael W. Cannon, 314th Maintenance Squadron. Airman First Class Richard M. Baker, 61st Airlift Squadron. Would you please join us in a round of applause for these people? Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony. Please form a line and join us in congratulating our award recipients.
Notice I had my hand over the lens the whole time. Did that?
Their bodies have healed, but their minds still remember that day. Far from home, terrorists tried to kill them with a truck bomb.
Little Rock Air Force Base personnel who suffered at the hands of cowardly bombers in Saudi Arabia have received special recognition.
And Bob Bray has their story tonight.
19 U.S. troops died in the truck bombing. Many more were injured, including 11 personnel from Little Rock Air Force Base. Today, those brave troops received the Purple Heart. Senior Airman Tracy Peckham was knocked across a balcony and slammed into a wall. She was in Dhahran, assigned to a supply squadron, making sure the troops had the materials they needed to do their jobs. She remembers how she felt while crumpled there, wondering if another blast was imminent.
I had anger, a lot of anger after that, because I couldn't see how they could sit there and try to kill us, and we're sitting there trying to defend them, you know, help them out as much as we can.
Master Sergeant Leighton Reed said his cigarette lighter and a computer left on in his workstation likely saved his life. He said he went back inside to take care of those when the bomb went off. Reed's job, ironically, had a direct result on how the other troops handled the blast and the aftermath. He is a disaster readiness instructor.
Training our folks to react to disasters and incidents like that, and try to maintain a level head and try to distance yourself from what's around you as far as the pain, the suffering and things, and act objectively.
On hand to present the Purple Heart was Lieutenant General Philip Ford, commander of the 8th Air Force. Ford said he and the rest of the Air Force couldn't be more pleased with the quality of the personnel now serving. From Little Rock Air Force Base, Bob Bray, News Channel 11.
General Ford is the commander of the B-52s that fired some of the cruise missiles into Iraq this week. Ford says the success of those two sorties will be measured against whatever action Saddam Hussein now takes. Ford says his crews had to be based out of Guam for the mission because nearby countries didn't want to get involved politically. He says the troops did a good job. Well,
Newberry, News Channel 11.
Good news now for some heroic Arkansans. 11 people from Little Rock Air Force Base have been honored with Purple Hearts. Back in June, you recall, terrorists set off a truck bomb outside a U.S. housing unit in Saudi Arabia. 19 people died in that explosion. Many more were injured, including 11 from Little Rock Air Force Base. Today, each of those 11 is given the Purple Heart for suffering wounds in action against an armed enemy of the United States. Supply Specialist Senior Airman Tracy Peckham says she'll never forget.
I had anger, a lot of anger after that, because I couldn't see how they could sit there and try to kill us, and we're sitting there trying to defend them, you know, help them out as much as we can.
And during peacetime, the Purple Heart is awarded to personnel wounded or killed while part of a peacekeeping force or by terrorist action. The commander of the 8th Air Force pinned on the Purple Hearts in that ceremony today. Lieutenant General Philip Ford from Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana says he's proud of the caliber of military personnel now serving this country. His B-52 crews launched some of those cruise missiles into Iraq this past week. Ford says the mission was designed to get the attention of Saddam.
Deterrence is in the eye of the beholder, and so it depends on what happens or what Mr. Saddam Hussein does will depend on whether or not it was successful or not.
Lieutenant General Ford says the B-52 mission was staged from Guam. Meanwhile, the U.S. keeps a careful eye on Iraq.
Is the oldest military decoration awarded to personnel wounded in action. In peacetime, it can be awarded to personnel wounded by a terrorist attack. Today, 11 Little Rock Airmen got that honor. Leslie Trapa joins us live from the base where she spoke to some of them today. Leslie?
Well, Doug, they say the award symbolizes a new kind of battlefield where the enemy is often unseen.
Airman First Class Richard M. Baker, 61st Airlift Squadron.
Airman Baker is just thankful to be standing here at all. He's one of 11 Little Rock survivors of a bomb blast that ripped through American barracks in Saudi Arabia, killing 19. Baker says the Purple Heart will remind him of the night terrorism hit home.
It doesn't really come home to you until you're there and you see it, you know, or you have a loved one who was involved in it, and then it becomes all too real to you.
Lieutenant General Philip Ford commands B-52 bombers that launched cruise missiles in Iraq earlier this week. He says the Little Rock Airmen are a symbol of terrorism's global reach.
I think it's a sign that says that our nation, our world is living in an environment that says this could happen just about at any time and any place.
Now, the award recipients say this is a tough honor. Obviously, they're glad to have survived the attack, but they're still mourning the friends they lost. Doug?
Leslie, thank you.
39 years.
Decoration around the Purple Heart. It's awarded to military personnel wounded in action. Today, 11 Little Rock Airmen were honored for injuries suffered during a June terrorist attack in Saudi Arabia. Leslie Trapa talked with some of the recipients. She joins us now live from Little Rock Air Force Base. Leslie?
Well, Doug, they say it's a tough honor because the medal also serves as a reminder of that tragic night and the friends who didn't make it.
First recipient, Master Sergeant James M. Sylvie, 61st Airlift Squadron.
Master Sergeant Jim Sylvie says his medal will serve as a badge of survival.
You think about how lucky you are to walk away from this, but yet you now have something that kind of reminds you of the event.
Sylvie is one of 11 Little Rock Airmen injured in a terrorist bombing of American barracks in Saudi Arabia. The attack killed 19. Sylvie's family says watching his decoration brought back the terror of that night.
We were a little scared that we thought he wasn't going to make it.
Words can't tell you. Can't tell you how. We're just happy that he was here.
Sylvie's physical wounds have healed, but the emotional ones may take a lifetime.
But it'll also bring back, you know, that night to where we lost some good friends.
Now, he's still recovering from some of the wounds he received during that attack. Doug?
And Leslie, thank you much.
And Sylvie was just one of 11 at Little Rock Air Force Base honored with a Purple Heart today. Here's a list of those recipients: Airman Richard Baker, Airman Michael Cannon, Senior Airman Tracy Peckham, Senior Airman Carl Hayden, Staff Sergeant Kelly Boyette, Staff Sergeant Edward Puskar, Tech Sergeant Morgan Spruill, Master Sergeant Charles Campbell, Master Sergeant Latham Reed, Master Sergeant Carl Freeney, and Master Sergeant James Sylvie.
The man who decorated Little Rock Airmen is the commander of B-52 bombers now in the Gulf. Lieutenant General Philip Ford coordinated the first airstrike against Iraq earlier this week. He says the possibility of future attacks depends now on Saddam Hussein.
Deterrence is in the eye of the beholder, and so it depends on what happens or what Mr. Saddam Hussein does.
More than 100 Little Rock Airmen are currently serving in the Gulf to enforce the no-fly zone. No additional Little Rock forces, though, have been sent in for any type of support.